2016 meeting of the Franklin County Commission. Roll call.
Commissioner Dunn,
Present.
Commissioner Harris, Commissioner Renaud,
Present.
Commissioner Waymeyer,
Here.
Chair Howard.
Present. If you'll all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for the invocation that will be led by Pastor Sharon Cook. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, we come before you. We thank you for giving us the health that we can sit together and to discuss things in unity. God, Lord, that you will move. And you said if we lack any wisdom, we can ask of you. Lord, that you can give these counselors their wisdom that needed to be done to make all decisions and to do the discussions and to help the people that they serve. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. No one signed up for public comment?
Nope.
Well, first it takes us to correspondence and organizational business.
Not this time.
Okay, no public comment. Takes us to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda that need considered and approved today will be the minutes from the May the 4th, 2016 commission meeting. There's no tax change orders and claim vouchers in the amount of $42,634. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. Be a tough day.
Commissioner Renaud,
Yes.
Commissioner Waymeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Chair Howard.
Yes. Okay, it takes us to items of business. The first item of business is approval of rezoning application 1603-1386 to rezone approximately 12.37 acres from A1 agriculture to an R3 residential estate. Larry.
As you've indicated, the request is filed by the Whites to rezone approximately 12 and a half acres. The purpose for this rezoning is to allow for the division of that acreage out along with the existing residents. The remainder of that will be retained in an agricultural zoning district. The Planning Commission has reviewed this and found that it was in compliance with the goals and objectives of our comprehensive plan. It did satisfy the subdivision requirements as well as our zoning requirements, and therefore have forwarded a recommendation to you for the approval of the rezoning. I have nothing further to add unless any of you have questions.
Pretty straightforward. We've done several of these.
One of the objectives of our comprehensive plan was to retain as much agricultural land at this time as possible, particularly productive agricultural land. And if it took the division of and sale of certain parcels to be able to retain the agricultural lands rather than seeing the whole thing broken up into little pieces, that was one of the objectives that was identified as a goal in our comprehensive plan. So we do see quite a number of these from time to time, and that, on the other hand, though, it has been able to afford a means of protecting a lot of agricultural lands.
This will be resolution number 1609, Dave.
Yes.
If there's no other questions, we'll look for a motion to approve this rezoning application 1603-1386.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Commissioner Renaud,
Yes.
Commissioner Waymeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Chair Howard.
Yes. Okay, it takes us to the second item. Larry's going to stay with us. It's also a rezoning application to be 1603-1388 to rezone approximately 3.29 acres from A1 agriculture to an RE residential estate, and also to rezone approximately 1.7 acres from an R3A, which is single family residential, to an RE residential estate.
As you've indicated, this is a request to do some rezoning of certain parcels that are also owned by the Whites. The purpose for this would be to allow the merger of some additional acreage with the small tract that's all currently existing that's zoned R3A, so it becomes a 5-acre tract, and that means it does now qualified for a different zoning district, and that zoning district would be the RE residential estate zone. So the small tract is being converted as added to create a 5-acre tract. The remainder of that property then will be retained in the agricultural zoning district. But it was putting this together so it made a tract that really complied with the minimum requirements of the county zoning regulations. The Planning Commission also reviewed this matter and have forwarded a recommendation to you with the finding that it did satisfy all of the criteria of our comprehensive plan, zoning regulations, and sanitation code, and therefore have recommended that you approve the rezoning request.
Okay. Any other questions on this?
I make a motion, we approve the rezoning application 1603-1388 to change 3 acres to 5 acres.
Second.
And this will be resolution 1610. Okay.
Commissioner Waymire,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud,
Yes.
Chair Howard.
Yes. Okay, it takes us to our third item, consideration of approval of contract between Franklin County and KDHE for the corrective action of the illegal dump site at 2926 Allen Terrace. Larry?
A couple of weeks ago, the county commissioners authorized me to submit a request to the state KDHE Solid Waste Management Division to see if we would be eligible then for a grant that would cover some of the costs associated with the cleanup of that particular site. The state has reviewed that and felt that it is eligible and now has sent us the contract, typical contract back that would afford us an opportunity then to get up to $10,000 in the cleanup. It does have attachment with it in that we would have to be responsible for 25% of that cost. However, that can be done with in-kind services, which is exactly what we've done with the 7 or 8 other sites that we've cleaned up over the past few years. I would ask then that, having reviewed this, that it's the standard contract, and again, it has a maximum lid on it of $10,000. We would anticipate that the cost for the cleanup would not exceed $9,000, and we can come up with our share as in-kind services. So we would, I think, definitely benefit if we can get this accomplished.
Can you give me just a real basic idea of what kind of materials are out there at that site?
Well,
Junk cars?
junk cars, junk trucks, household waste, a
Scrap
lot-
metal, old tires, old moldy hay bales. He's had animals on and off of there.
It's even got a lot of old construction waste that has been dumped out there. So it's a mixture of a lot of things that's accumulated over the last several years that we've been working with this to get it cleaned up.
We started talking about this. We weren't aware of a possible grant, so this is definitely a good thing. We can get that.
We have been fairly successful in dealing with these issues like I say, I think this is the 8th cleanup site that we've been able to participate with the state on, and I think we're pretty fortunate because not many counties throughout Kansas have been successful in getting those grants. But I think that Franklin County has done a pretty good job in being able to seek those and get approval.
More questions?
Was the owner of the property the one that doing the dumping, or just anybody doing dumping?
I would have to say that the owner is the one that's really responsible, although I couldn't tell you that there hasn't been some other people, perhaps. This is almost contiguous to the city of Richmond, so it's conceivable, very conceivable, particularly at the location of this property, that there could have been some other dumping that has taken place from time to time. But I would agree, though, that the bulk of this has been the owner of the property.
And he is still the owner? He is still the current owner?
Mm-hmm.
Questions on this? Not, would look for a motion to approve the contract between Franklin County and KDHE for the corrective action of the illegal dump site at 2926 Allen Terrace.
So move.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Deb?
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud,
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire,
Yes.
Chair Howard.
Yes.
So basically, he gets it cleaned up without him having to pay for doing anything, huh?
No, the state will
Go after him.
go ahead for their share.
I got you, okay.
Okay, that takes us to staff reports. John?
Commissioners, probably the biggest thing is that I'm in the process of looking at the calendar for the study session for the budget, those study sessions. Right now, those are being tentatively scheduled for June 15th through the 17th, towards that end of the week. So if you want to, if you have any big conflicts with that time, let me know. I want to move that up. We worked on the last year towards the end of June, and I'm wanting to move that up a couple weeks. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. So if you'd review your schedule, let me know if that works, and then we'll go from there.
So like on the 15th after a regular meeting, just we'll have that day and then.
We'd move into the study sessions for that stuff. So.
Eric? Sheriff?
We have been very busy with it, both in the jail dispatch and on the road. It's been extremely busy. I don't know why, other than maybe because the school year is wrapping up and the weather's getting nicer, but things have picked up a lot. As you may have seen or heard in the media, yesterday we did serve another search warrant and arrest warrant involved. It was tied in with an ongoing methamphetamine distribution ring, and we did get another warrant served on that for conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine. So the neighbors over there seem to be very appreciative that we're getting things cleaned up. And that was a result of the investigation involving the Drug Enforcement Unit, which is our detectives and Ottawa PD detectives, and we did use the STAR team because of potential threats. Also, as you guys probably heard on Monday, Kansas City, Kansas, police detective was killed in the line of duty. And that the timing of that is just pretty tough in the fact that tonight is our police memorial service that we have every year. That will be tonight at Faith Lutheran Church. Normally it's been held over at First Baptist. This year it's going to be held at Faith Lutheran. That begins at 6 p.m. tonight, and that will be the opportunity for our agency and the public to again honor Captain Robert Cowden from the Ottawa Police Department and Deputy Sam Smith from the Sheriff's Office. And everyone is invited to be there. The service should only last about 40 minutes or so. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I got a couple, but I'll catch, if you're still going to be here, I'm
I
going to
will.
catch them during my session.
Okay.
Anything from the clerk's office?
Janet and Betsy are off at our clerk conference for the rest of the week, so hopefully they'll bring back some good information.
Also, our auditors are here and plugging away.
Larry, do you have anything else you want to share from your department? Anything else? Yeah.
Just remind you that we have a planning commission meeting next week.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, with that, we will go to commissioner comments and board reports. Roy, start with you.
I went to the ECAN 50th anniversary last Friday over at the ECAN for lunch, and it was nice to recognize a couple gals were there from the beginning, 1966, when the ECAN first got organized. There's some of the legislators there that helped get it started too, and then a presentation by Representative Finch and Representative Lynn Jenkins was there, and Carol Tyson was there. So had a pretty nice get together, recognizing 50 years of ECAN and the work they do to help people get out of poverty and have adequate housing. It's been quite an organization over the years, what they do for the people that need help. And yesterday morning I went to the Chamber of Commerce board meeting and talked about some of the events coming up. Of course, RMH groundbreaking next Wednesday at 1:30, and Calmar's having a groundbreaking up there at the old Ottawa Truck Place, now Calmar Industries, and they're taking some of the old paint sheds there and taking that down. They're going to make a racetrack. Not a racetrack. They call it a racetrack, but it's to test their trucks instead of taking them out in the public and testing their trucks. They want to do it in-house and maybe save some money there by not having to have a dealer tag or something like that, they said. And Sandy Sample of the 23rd to be her last day with the chamber, and they have a college intern who's going to take her place this summer. That's about all I have, I think, on the chamber.
Cool.
Been anything since last time we've met?
Last Wednesday night, I attended the Wellsville City Council meeting, and the Monday night I attended the Lane City Council meeting. Several items that they talked about. One was interesting. One of the council members felt like they should raise the speed limit on John Brown to 65 mile per hour. So for whatever good that would do. But they also said they've been having some trouble, and I'm going to visit, I think, with Alan and Nick. But first responders and sheriff's response and their address system or something. But she said the sheriff's department showing up seems to be able to find the correct addresses, but EMS has trouble locating the buildings. I don't know if they're using a different GPS system or their streets on one side are named something, on the other side they're different name. I don't understand it, but apparently they have some problem with that. And also, a first responder they lack a first responder down there or something and had trouble getting oxygen. Nobody knew how to use the oxygen or get it from the fire department. So I'm going to visit with Nick and see what's going on that we might help there, and with Alan on the addresses maybe. Also, and maybe some of you can help me with this, but apparently there's been a notification system used when notify of storms that was called IRIS or something like that, and is that no longer being used? Because they were not getting those notifications now, and that's something they were asking about.
IRIS is a program that was paid for by MARC, the organization up out of Kansas City, and it covered all of this area. That is who was funding that, and that funding went away, and they moved to a different system, which is called Everbridge, and that's what we are. And Alan is very familiar with that, and I believe Tom probably is as well. But there was a transition made from IRIS to Everbridge, and that has been probably 4 or 5 months ago, maybe.
I will get this gal's address then to Alan.
Yes.
And so he can contact her about getting that, so they get the notifications or where they were used to get.
And they still do get sent out. It might just.
It just might be that her address
that they
isn't
just
and her
have to
phone
sign
isn't
up
in them
for
or
it.
something.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I'll work on that then. Thank you very much. And I think that's pretty much. It was interesting to add, water bills, how that have those rural communities, people's water leaks and stuff, and they have a system to allow people to go on a payment plan as well as pay the rate that the water costs them rather than the normal rate. So that was also on part of their agenda, but that pretty much covers. And you see, yesterday afternoon I went to the chamber at Wellsville. They're working on their website, getting somebody to manage the website, and also they have an upcoming golf tournament in June that they do, so fundraiser. That's it.
Okay, last night I attended the Richmond City Council. They had the company there that's putting in their new water lines. It was a very long topic. The city's not happy with a few things that was done and not done, and they had their people there to answer the questions, and they tried to work out how they're going to take care of that situation. They had a water plant update, talked about it. They're going to be doing a lot of work on their water plant now out at their lake. They also reappointed the city attorney, the city judge, the treasurer, and the city clerk, and they approved an application for a permit for a retail fireworks sale. And that was most of what was covered last night at Richmond. That's the only thing I've attended since our last meeting. Right now we're scheduled for a study session on Monday. If we have anything on the agenda.
Yes.
We still have the